Hi everybody and welcome to my Unruly Housewife channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make stoppers and lids for little glass bottles. Now some of you may have these kinds of bottles from I think Tim Holtz makes them. Lots of us have got these I think somewhere in our store, and I often use these bottles too, which are from Glade plugins, which are like air fresheners that plug into the wall. Now I don't think you have these in America, but you might have something similar. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I love to decorate these little bottles. I think they're really fun, but when I made this one, which is kind of my first one, I came across a problem, and that's the problem. The lid would not stay in it, and it just didn't work at all. It was rubbish. In fact, I added this bit to it because it was even more rubbish than it is now. But it's quite a nice little bottle, so it was a shame. So then I decided to work a bit on how to make a better stopper. And if you listen to this stopper, for instance, I think you'll find it's definitely a better fit. And I'm going to show you how I went about making that and how I went about making a more complex one. So first of all, we will do the easy one, if you know what I mean. This is one that we don't need to support in any way. And this one, whoops, a bit of a spoiler there. This one is just going to need a snake of clay, and you're probably going to use the clay that the whole lid's going to be made of if it's a small lid and it doesn't really require additional support. So I would roll your snake until it was kind of like the size of the bottle. Now I've done a pretty good job there actually. It's not too big, not too small, and just wriggle that in to the hole. Now actually is a tiny bit big, so keep going, keep trying until it starts to look more like the size. I don't know if that's really as far in as I want it to be yet, so I'm going to try a bit more. And it really is like that, it's trial and error. To fatten it up, you just push it down onto the tile a little, and to make it thinner you just roll it, and you keep doing that until it's the size that fits in there. And you can't quite hear it pop, but sometimes it does. I can hear my heating buzzing away. That's brilliant. Everything's happened since I've been trying to phone this. The cats have been starting drama. The phone rang. Oh my lord. Anyway, so that's what you keep doing until you get the stopper that looks the right size and shape. Flatten the end. Make sure it still fits. And as you can see, you get a nice little stopper. Now you could pinch this together and make a little point and maybe fire that and then add something to it, or you could do what I did here, which is to just shape the rest of the lid out of the rest of the clay, if you see what I mean, because it's going to be quite a small lid, so it's not too elaborate. Okay, so that's how you make that. Not exactly rocket science, was it? But what if you want to make a lid that's more challenging and harder to hold together, such as this? Well, in that case, you would want to have a bit more structure, a bit more strength, and I would suggest in that case you use a cocktail stick. So I've done like that one there, which is actually the stopper part of it, and then I've trimmed it at the top and it's got a cocktail stick. So now you can trim that to whatever you want. You could make your top, imagine we wanted this to be the lid and this was baked, partly baked, say for 15 minutes, we could push that into there and fiddle around and do whatever we wanted. And in fact you could do that the other way around. So if this was what I wanted to be my lid, provided it's not sort of too thick to bake, you can put that in and bake it, and then we can use these little clippers to clip it to the right length and fashion our stopper and size the stopper up in there. Alternatively, if you want to make it really fat and you don't want to have it to be solid clay because you want to bake it nicely, you could do this, and this is what I did there. I got a wooden bead, put a cocktail stick through it with some glue, white glue, or I imagine Weld Bond or something would be fine. If you're in America, I used Crafter's Pick, the ultimate glue, and just put that in there, left it overnight, and then I fashioned my lid around it. And here's another one that I made, which I didn't leave the point on, so I didn't leave this bit on, and I just made that, and that looks actually, that one looks quite nice in here, but it is a bit over the top, isn't it? It's a bit OTT. you can make yours a more appropriate size. So that's how I make the easy push-in lids. Now, there is another alternative. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is something which I've never seen anybody else doing with polymer clay, but I could be wrong. And that is the way that I did these lids here. Now you have to excuse how bulky that is, because I mean this bottle's not decorated, so it would look different if it was decorated. And there again, I've done this just to show you a little trick that I've been practicing. And it may or may not be of any actual practical use to you, but it will definitely be interesting. And that is, I have used polymer clay to make screw-on lids. Now, I have to be quite careful with this, because the clay moulds onto the screw thread of the bottle. As long as you don't exceed this line here, there, if I hold it around for you, so you don't want to go over there because this isn't part. If you stick to the part that's got the screw thread on, you can actually make a screw-on lid. But if you're careful and you mould the clay onto them, I'll show you. Just cut a strip of clay that fits that size. See about like that. And then wind it round your bottle, avoiding that bottom area there. It has to be quite thick because it's got to be quite strong. And I'll just put that together. If you can do that, avoid that catching on that bottom bit, then just roll it between your fingers. And as you roll it, bring it up over the top. And this is on, I think this was on the thickest or second thickest setting on my pasta machine. It's quite hefty. It's got to be, really, because it has to be quite strong to be screwed on and off. And then you can bring that up and you can either put an extra bit on top and blend it in, or you can keep working with that until that's blended. I think you'd have to put an extra bit on top. Once that's done, you need to make a hole in it for the same reason as I said before. You don't want the hot air pushing it out. And then you've got yourself a little screw-on lid, and that would be your lid. Okay, well that's going to be tremendously untidy because it's too thick. But you get the idea of what I mean here. Just there. Now, these lids are not ideal. You see, I like the idea that you can take the lid on and off of a bottle, but these lids are not ideal. I've done this one a few times. I think the last one I made broke after 30 times of me putting it on and off. So this, I can see I can screw it on and it's fine. But it's not something you'd want to, and you could always put a finding through there as well and glue it in place, couldn't you, and hang it a necklace. But it's not something you'd want to unscrew every day. So it's possible, but it's not ideal. And this here is, I've made this the same way I made that. You have to hold it quite firmly and turn the bottle, I find is best. I made it the same way I made that, but then I just then I kind of decorated the outside, and that has come up quite bulky, but it's at least made it a little bit stronger. So I mean, the concept is interesting, isn't it? It may not be like the strongest thing you've ever made, but it's worth trying. And if you're only going to have a bottle that you're going to open occasionally, maybe if it was on a little necklace and you could change the beads inside it or something to a different colour, occasionally, then you know that should be fine. Or maybe it won't. You need to experiment. You need to use a strong clay, condition it well, and give it a good old bake. So I hope that was interesting for you. I hope that you can make some pretty little bottles. Do decorate the rest of them. I'm going to go and let that cat out now because it can't get out of the room. Thank you very much for watching. Do like and subscribe. And if you know anybody who will be interested in this, particularly the concept of a screw lid, which I really haven't seen anywhere else, do share it with them, because it's not something that people are necessarily searching for, but I think they might be interested if they saw it. Sorry, I'm picking around here. Okay, there we go. Yes, I'm going to let Gizmo out. I love you all. Bye-bye. Just a quick PS to my video. I'm sorry. Non-screw thread stoppers can be baked on a cardboard concertina like this in your oven for once you've finished them for the full time according to manufacturer's instructions. Screw threaded lids can be punctured like this because you're cooking them on the bottle, but once you've embellished them, this lid here can as well be cooked on the cardboard concertina. I sort of didn't mention that properly. Always cook according to manufacturer's instructions. I'm off now. Bye.